Suns right behind them. They're 31-9. Both teams, their best starts in franchise's history.
Most importantly for Phoenix right now is confidence. Believe they can get it done even with a limited, nice rotation defense.
Manu Ginobili, an easy two. Of course, that's the area of concern for the Phoenix Suns, besides Nash's health, is their defense. And it was not there in the first meeting between these two back in late December. Stoudemire, good hard drive. That first meeting, though, was the worst loss of the season for the Suns as the Spurs beat them in San Antonio by 21, and it wasn't that close.
It was a close game at halftime, and the first half of that game was the best ball played by two teams in the entire season this year.
Duncan couldn't get the entry pass, knocked away. And here comes Nash.
But it was the strategic adjustment by San Antonio. Steve Nash, who's been feeling pretty good the last couple days in practice.
Well, the original injury was a thigh bruise. He came back from that and then had the back spasms after having that practice mishap. Here Barbosa, Stoudemire kicks it out. And Parker will set up the offense again.
D'Antoni can't believe it. There's no 3-second violation. Obviously, the strategy for San Antonio is to pound it inside, try to wear down the younger, smaller Phoenix Suns.
Stoudemire inside. And perhaps no one, with the exception of Mike D'Antoni, the Suns coach, happy to see Steve Nash and Amari Stoudemire.
Well, the numbers across the board, with and without Steve Nash, are just staggering.
Manu Ginobili knocks down the three.
The thing that's impressive about San Antonio, they play their best in the biggest of games. They get into trouble against the teams they don't take seriously. They know they're in for a real game tonight, the Spurs.
Meanwhile, Stoudemire, who had 37 points in that loss to the Spurs this season, he's off to a quick start with 4 quick ones. Bowen. Duncan with 8 on the shot clock. Single coverage, gets inside. Nice move from Duncan, and no help defense again.
The Suns have to be careful. They don't want to pick up fouls on their two key big men, Stoudemire and Shawn Marion.
Bowen on Quentin Richardson. Johnson inside. Both teams shooting well, to say the least. Spurs 4 for 4. And the Suns have hit 4 of their first 5.
I do believe that the shot clock will not be a factor tonight.
Beautiful block. And here come the Suns.
Look at the quickness of Steve Nash, former soccer player.
Richardson for 3.
This is an electric atmosphere in here tonight, Mike.
A sellout crowd, the 8th sellout of the season, already more than last year. They've already done a lot more things in a half the season than they took the full season last year, including victories. Bowen's shot won't go. And a rebound from Shawn Marion, one of the best rebounding forwards in the league. Johnson gets inside and gets the roll.
Suns' goal is to outscore you. They're going to give up a bunch of points. What Greg Popovich told us before the game was that the transition defense for the Spurs, particularly the bigs of Duncan and Stoudemire, has got to be supreme tonight.
You can say that for every opponent against Phoenix this year, as Bowen can hit transition defense so critical. And not just on the original break, but the secondary break on those 3-pointers. Richardson will open 3. And Duncan goes high for the rebound.
What timing, what positioning by Tim Duncan on the rebound. His ability to soar above the crowd seems like anybody else. And Tim's not a particularly dynamic jumper.
Stoudemire blocked by Marion. Saved by Stoudemire.
Nice pick ahead, Nash.
Marion can't get it to fall. Boy, this crowd oohing on every passing shot.
But this used to be one of the great stops on the NBA Tour. Ever since Charles Barkley left, though, it's been Death Valley instead of the Valley of the Sun.
Well, the turnaround from last year has been absolutely incredible. With 29 wins last season, Ginobili, the little lefty shot from the lefty man from Argentina.
I love the way they kick the ball ahead.
Fast breaks, even on the opponent's makes. Doesn't matter. They just push the #1 scoring team in the NBA. Johnson using the left hand.
Beautiful pass to himself.
Marion gets inside. And Duncan already with 4 rebounds. America West. The Suns are 16-3. Meanwhile, San Antonio has been a little average on the road, 11-8. And the foul goes against Richardson, and that's the first foul of the game. So the Spurs will take it out of bounds, and we'll have our first substitution. Jake Bosco is going to come in.
Mike D'Antoni will use Bosco a lot. He can come in and give Stoudemire or Sean Marion a breather here. This is not a particularly deep team.
Especially tonight. They only have 9 players because of today's trade. And they acquired Jimmy Jackson from New Orleans. Giving up 3 players. Lasha Nesterovic able to put it in. Casey Jacobson, Jackson Broman, and Matek Mate all going to New Orleans, where Jimmy Jackson, of course, did not report. Nice steal from Bowen. Bowen takes it away. Marion, instant pursuit. And a foul on Marion. Then they hit him in the head, and Bruce Bowen will shoot 2. Of course, the crowd obviously disagrees.
How can you argue this call here? Bowen up in the passing lane. This is a play Sean Marion really has to let him go. You know what?
That's how you can argue the call.
That's how you argue that call. There's no touch. He did let him go.
That's a hard call. Jimmy Clark was the trail official on that. Is now talking to Mike D'Antoni. I think he said, look up at the scoreboard on the screen. From the back angle where Clark was, it may have looked like he hit him in the head, but that was a clean play. He backed off.
Which is what you want to do in that situation. Bowen, so smart, so understanding of in that a play where you have to extend and don't jump from underneath the basket, jump from out around the dotted line. So they can't get that shot blocked on defense.
6-0 run by the Spurs. Now lead by 2 as we approach the midway point of the first.
Suns have not been able to get in the transition game that they thrive in. Spurs disciplined offense and transition defense just been too good.
Quentin Richardson and Johnson right there on the follow. The key about the players like Johnson and Richardson, they're very good rebounders for their size.
They're also very young. This is a young man's game. He is the youngest team in the entire NBA.
Brent Barry in the game for Ginobili. Malik Rose has come in as well. Bowen can't hit the 3. Rose, the offensive rebound. He played well in the first meeting between the 2.
For San Antonio, everybody played well. When you beat Phoenix by, what was it, 30? They were ahead 35.
They were up by 31 at one point. They wound up winning 115-94. Nothing from way outside.
Keep your eye on Joe Johnson, number 2, who did with that kick-ahead pass. This guy is a really good basketball player.
Richardson cut that one alive, but couldn't get it to fall. And the Spurs will bring it up the other way and slow it down.
Amazing for the 2 teams with the best records in the NBA. Neither team is doing a great job on the defensive backboard tonight.
Parker off the mark. Roy Short Rose the offensive rebound. And kicks it back out again. Parker got into the lane anytime he wanted in that first meeting, something the Suns talked about as they got ready for this game.
On cue.
Tony Parker playing, as you mentioned, Bill, some of his best basketball. Richardson hit his first three-point right after that, and a loose ball foul.
R.C. Buford, the general manager, and the second unit to play so well as they have of late to give Tim Duncan some rest in this, the hard, grinded-out part of the season.
Nash gets inside. Richardson just threw it up in the basket. Not a good shot. And Brent Barry the rebound. Barry's starting to get a lot more comfortable.
You have to remember, Mike, that San Antonio is the best defensive team in basketball. You're not going to get good shots unless you get out in transition.
Sean Marion running the floor, but excellent transition defense.
Duncan is just so solid. His sense of positioning, his sense of forcing the other player to do something he has no chance of success with.
Mike D'Antoni upset. He thought there was a foul call, screaming at Jimmy Clark, but he's very close to the technical. Malik Rose gets inside. Parker left wide open. And Duncan, the offensive board, surrounded. Parker again inside. Trying to draw the foul with some theatrical, demonstrative responses, but didn't get it.
And that brings Greg Popovich up off the bench. Jimmy Clark's going to need earplugs tonight. He's the one who's willing to walk in there, and it's hard to see how that's not a foul. Tony Parker just gets hammered. Granted, he did not get his arms hit. He hit the shoulder.
Well, Jake Bosco moved in to cause the contact. I apologize to Tony Parker for saying he was acting. Nash, good defense from Parker on the other end. Nash holding his wrist saying, I got fouled. So everybody's complaining right now. And the Suns, after hitting 6 of their first 7 from the field, have missed 10 of 11.
And I haven't even started with you yet.
Going up the mark. And Richardson said both teams started off like a ball of fire shooting. And both have cooled down considerably.
Great. That's great defense by Stoudemire.
They are contesting every shot right now. And Parker will slow it down. I think it was Larry Brown who said, you don't want to play Phoenix's pace because they simply play that pace better. And you can easily get caught up into that fast pace.
Well, a couple of teams can play that pace. Seattle, Washington.
And Parker, and I don't know if Marion got a piece of that one.
Phoenix is not in sync right now.
You know those teams you mentioned, they can play that pace, but they can't play it better.
You're right.
Johnson fouled on a three-point attempt. Bruce Bowen picks up the first one, and Joe Johnson will go to the line for 3. They're actually playing some defense here in Phoenix right now. Extra spots to fill because of the trade today. A backup point guard is one of the possibilities that they're going to look for.
And they still have the salary cap exception from the Kamarkova trade up to Golden State a couple of weeks ago. So plenty of room for maneuverability for the Phoenix Suns, who have one of the lowest payrolls in the entire NBA.
And there's Barbosa just placed on the injured list as his collision with Nash forced the second injury to Nash. They also have Milos Vijanic, the terrific point guard from Serbia and Montenegro, but he stayed and played in Europe again.
What was his name again?
Milos Vijanic.
Do you spell that, please?
Not right now. Ginobili. Marion gets his one with a pick, but recovers nicely. And Stoudemire tied up. Shot clock down to 7. Ginobili gets inside. And Marion comes in for the rebound. The second rebound for Sean Marion. Johnson. Too strong, and Marion comes flying in and grabs it with the left hand. Suns have now missed 12 of their last 13 from the field. Jimmy, thank you very much, and welcome everyone to America West Arena. We have the 2 best records in the NBA squaring off tonight. It's the best offense, the Phoenix Suns, against the best defensive team in the league, in the San Antonio Spurs. And here's the summary so far. Both teams started out like a ball of fire, couldn't miss early. And since then, the defense has picked up. And Steve Nash playing in this game as Stoudemire draws the foul and goes to the line. Nash, who missed the last 3 games, makes Mike D'Antoni very happy. But right now, he's on the bench and resting his back that has been giving him problems.
The game hasn't reached the pace and excitement and intensity level that we thought. San Antonio so determined to come in here and control the tempo. Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili were very strong early on. Tony Parker has done a nice job of containing the penetration capabilities of Steve Nash, who has not been able to get anything going for this high wire act of Phoenix Suns.
It's evident with Nash out just what a value he is to this team. We talk about MVP candidates. Woodruff misses from 3-point range, and Richardson the rebound.
I think Steve Nash is the MVP of the league.
First half of the season, you'd have to say so. Stoudemire has it. You want to talk about Shaquille O'Neal as well. Stoudemire able to knock it down, and nobody happier on the Suns roster than Stoudemire to have Steve Nash back on the floor.
Well, Stoudemire's numbers just go through the roof when Steve Nash is out there.
Richardson almost the steal, and Ginobili spots up and nails the 3.
The thing I love about San Antonio's team is that they play their best in the biggest of games, and they have come out tonight determined to push this raucous, wild, and electric crowd back into their seats.
Stoudemire now starting to erupt. He's got 11 points here in the opening period. And the Suns back up by 2. Shot clock and game clock nearly even.
This is the second unit here for Popovich. This is the unit that Brent Barry has to pull together to give that first unit much-needed rest over the course of the long haul.
4 on the shot clock. Ginobili makes his move. Gets hit in the head. Shot won't go. And Manu Ginobili will go to the free throw line. Of course, the Phoenix Suns, we talk about benches. Their bench has not been all that deep this year, and it's certainly not deep tonight. They only have 9 eligible players because of a trade they made earlier today, acquiring veteran Jimmy Jackson from New Orleans. Jackson never reported to New Orleans after being traded from Houston, but they gave up 3 players, Casey Jacobson, Matchup Lampy, and Jackson Roman. And those 3 are on their way to New Orleans. Jackson not ready yet to play for Phoenix.
Poor Casey Jacobson. He was having the time of his life living here in the Valley of the Sun.
Richardson now Canada goes. Not a bad attempt. As we end the first quarter.
Single squad. This guy is the MVP.
And the point guard matchup is fun because, yes, it's Tim Duncan's team. He's won 2 MVPs, one of the best players in the world. But so often the Spurs go as Tony Parker goes. And Tony Parker's playing some of the best ball of his career. He's on the bench now as Barry misfires on a 3. But Parker has been instrumental.
On a real roll. In his 4th year now, Tony Parker, in the words of Greg Popovich today, Tony Parker has grown into the position now as a leader. Ginobili just too strong, too tough. This is a real squad, San Antonio. Top to bottom, around the horn, and then at the end of the day, they still have the Kings and Tim Duncan.
Well, Steve Nash said they're the best team in the league. Point blank right now. They want to get there, but they're not as good as the Spurs. That's what Nash said. They turn it over. Woodward turns it over right back. And this was Parker. Parker signed to a 10-day contract. As Ginobili called for a reaching foul because of the injury to Leandro Barbosa.
Smush. Now, how do you get a nickname like Smush?
Well, his mother gave his dad that nickname. That was kind of a little pet name between husband and wife, and they just passed it on to young William Henry Parker. That's his real name.
So, nicknames are now hereditary. Genetic.
Starovich had it. Parker nearly took it right out of his hands. Smush Parker has played briefly with Cleveland and with Detroit, getting an opportunity now with the highest scoring team in the NBA.
You seem to know a lot about this guy, Smush Parker.
Well, he's a Fordham grad, Bill.
Are you related to him?
No.
You're a Fordham grad too, right?
It's a Fordham, yep.
Fordham Flash, is that what it is?
Yes. Parker playing in just his 2nd game with the Phoenix Suns, had 6 turnovers in 18 minutes in his first. This is a tough team to get accustomed to playing with. And Ginobili knocked away by Richardson.
Good transition defense by the Suns. Parker just has to settle it down.
That was a pass. That was a pass.
Well, Quentin Richardson's having the time of his life here in the Valley of the Sun after all those years with the Clippers.
See, now, if I'm playing, I take that as a sign. I'm shooting every time. Parker clawed for the foul on the other end. That's unbelievable.
They clear out the side. They're trying to throw a lob pass over the top, and it goes right in the basket. Now that is being on fire right there.
It's only a 2-pointer, though. His foot was on the 3-point line.
What touch. Why were they even looking whether his feet were? He wasn't shooting.
Here's Barry. Malik Rose. Oh, way off the mark.
Watch your face on the rebounds there.
And you just see Parker, they want him to push the ball more. It's tough getting him used to the pace that Steve Nash usually brings it up with. And that's a shot. That was not an alley-oop pass.
Joe Johnson 10 days ago, along with Quentin Richardson, just lit it up in this building. One of the finest displays, most exhilarating exhibitions of basketball that I've seen in my entire life when they trounced the Miami Heat here.
Beno Udrih hits the 3. And Udrih, speaking of valuable players, he's starting to become a very important part of the rotation for Greg Popovich.
But isn't that what Popovich does? He develops talent. They talk about the lack of teaching in the NBA. I don't buy it. This guy, Popovich, Jerry Sloan, does it very well. And now Dan Tony here in Phoenix is doing it himself.
And a loose ball foul call on Stephen Hunter. And Manu Ginobili just came down on his left foot. And he's hurt in the backcourt. Ginobili grabbing his left ankle.
This guy is tough as can be.
He's had ankle problems in the past. And he gets up and trying to walk it off a little bit.
The guy looked like he needed a stretcher. Now he's going to stay in the game?
Well, he was looking over at the bench. I think he didn't want anyone to notice him that he was down. He's going to be taken out, and Devin Brown will come in. Most opponents don't like playing against the Phoenix Suns. This is Ginobili's kind of game.
How could you not like playing this way? This is the way you grow up, just learning, living how to play.
Tell you what, I've seen looks on some of the opponents of the Suns. They're not enjoying some of this. The pace can really wear you down. Ginobili, the leading scorer in the game with 14 points as Nesterovic puts it in, and he comes down on his ankle, and he's in a lot of pain. And they quickly foul to stop the game.
This is not good. What did Greg Popovich tell us this morning? We asked him what his biggest concern was.
Remain healthy.
And now everybody is just dropping like flies.
You know that you're doing well when your head coach says your number one concern is to remain healthy. That means a lot of other things are going wrong. Obviously, comes right down on Hunter or Marion's left foot.
Well, we've seen that so many times here this year. Carmelo Anthony's been doing it now. Rasho Nesterovic.
Well, Ginobili got up. But right now, Nesterovic is not. And we'll take a break. Early second quarter as the Spurs lead by 2.
By the doctors, they will get some x-rays, and when you have the information, Mike will get it to you.
And Jimmy Nesterovic, very important to the Spurs, as Greg Popovich says, in terms of defensively. He's in the right spot defensively more than any other player. He's really picked up the team's defense, and one of the reasons why they're the best defensive team in the league is Marion knocks down the three. Sean Marion.
Back to Nesterovic. You know what that right spot is? Right next to Tim Duncan.
I'm not saying he's the best player. I'm quoting the coach. Barry, a wide open three.
All right. Good to see Brent Barry come alive here.
Barry just recently had his best scoring game a couple of games ago. And a foul. Tony Massenberg's come into the game, and him and Barry got caught up on the pick. Barry picks up the foul.
How about the job Sean Marion has done, though? I mean, this was a guy who made the dream team over in Athens. Rarely played over there. Larry Brown, talked nice about him, but didn't put him in the game very much. But now he's in the top 10 in rebounding. Well, the guy is so little. He used to be a small forward. Now he's playing power forward and center.
Well,
I love this guy.
He's the smallest and lightest player in the top 20 in rebounding. And as you mentioned, he's 7th in the league in that. He's 5th in steals. He is playing out of position. But he did play in Athens. In fact, he had 22 points in the bronze medal game against Lithuania.
He didn't play enough. If he had played more, they would have won the gold.
Thank you, Coach Walt. Evan Brown. Massenberg trying to set something up. Shot clock at 7. Woodruff, the lefty's got a nice jumper, a rookie from Slovenia.
The concentration and the focus. You got big Stephen Hunter running out, breathing down his neck. This guy shows a lot of poise.
And here's Massenberg. Going to have to play big minutes tonight with Nesterovic. And Amari Stoudemire with 13 points here in the first half.
The progress of Amari Stoudemire, working with assistant coach Mark Ivaroni on the footwork, developing a real game. No longer just size, strength, power, and athleticism.
Duncan trying to get free against Hunter. Tough shot from Duncan.
Tim Duncan is 1 for 3 from the floor, and they're tied.
Nash, that's a three for Steve Nash. He got a huge ovation when he was announced in the starting lineups here at America West Arena.
How about when they announced a half hour before the game that he was going to even play? It was like in a boxing arena.
He was a question mark coming in. Duncan off the mark. Hunter playing him well.
Getting underneath Tim. Got to be a little bit of concern right now about the loss of Nesterovic. Everybody's thinking about, can my ankle be the next one to go?
Nice pass from Nash originally.
Good defense, San Antonio.
Shot clock at 6. Bowen, excellent defense. Stoudemire steps back. That's what he worked on all summer.
Now Phoenix is rolling. Popovich is sensing that. He's got to put a stop to this immediately with this timeout. The offense coming alive for Phoenix. Steve Nash makes it happen.
Amari Stoudemire, 7 of 8 from the field.
But a 9-2 run by the Phoenix Suns. Early offense. Shot clock right up there at 21. 20. Steve Nash pulling the trigger. This is Phoenix Sun basketball. The hesitation, very next possession, the ball movement, the left-handed pass. Steve Nash loved to use that left. Everybody's swinging it around. The patience, knowing that they will get a good shot. Finally, to Amari Stoudemire, 15 feet away, net. The crowd is up. This is great basketball.
Normally, they don't have to make that many passes to get an open shot, but that shows you how good the Spurs are defensively. They played them so well for most of that possession, Yet the extra pass, and that's what makes this team so tough, Bill. They can all, especially the starters on Phoenix, they can all pass, they can all dribble, and they can all shoot.
My favorite part of basketball, Mike, is the mental and emotional aspect, and that's what Steve Nash brings. This guy has no skills physically. I mean, this guy looks like Paul Simon out there. And now all of a sudden he is out leading the entire NBA, a game dominated by the winners of the genetic lottery.
Paul Simon of Simon and Garfunkel? Is that what you mean?
How many other Paul Simons are there?
Woodruff to Massenberg. Hunter again defends it. And then called for the foul. He knows he hit him, but good defensive work from Stephen Hunter down low.
Stephen Hunter, who came over as a free agent after 3 years in Orlando. Things fell apart last year. Nice touch there to keep it away, Stephen Hunter, and then picks up the foul, which it's okay for your backup center to pick up fouls, and when your starting center leaves in a wheelchair, that's not a good sign.
Stoudemire.
Oh, look, they're telling Jim Gray, don't come in here.
He does that a lot.
No, that's usually me.
Duncan hits the free throw. Tony Parker will return. Of course, free throw shooting could be an important part for the San Antonio Spurs. They are not a good free throw shooting team, one of the worst in the NBA, but they're 5 for 5 so far tonight.
It's amazing how you always look for the negatives.
You need to find balance in your life, Bill. 4-point lead for the Phoenix Suns. 6.5 remaining in the second. Oh, Stoudemire gets inside.
Now that's a basketball play right there. I'm surprised he's not going to the line.
Ginobili back in the game. Duncan not expecting the pass. Gets at the 4.
When you talk to all the Spurs players and coaches, they constantly rave about Duncan's hands. And the fact that he can throw the worst pass in the world to him, and he'll turn it into something silky smooth.
Nash, speaking of passes, Hunter. And Stephen Hunter is giving the Suns a nice lift off the bench here in this first half. He'll go to the line for 2 as Massenberg picks up the first. Years old in his 13th year in the league. He's going to play some pretty big minutes. He's only averaging about 8 minutes a game. Obviously doesn't play every game.
But I think it exposes really the weakness of the Spurs. The endless dream of trying to replace David Robinson. Try to get somebody who's really good, who's big. But every team is trying to look for those guys.
Well, certainly Stoudemire is capable of filling the role. But every team worries about that. A key star going down. Ginobili gets hit. Shot won't go. Ginobili will go to the free throw line as Hunter picks up his 3rd foul in 7 minutes.
It's sad that Robert Horry can't play. I was really looking forward to his return here to the Valley of the Sun. Robert Horry, his knee in the game against the Clippers on Wednesday night. Kneecap popped out, and then he had to put it right back in.
Reminder on NBA calendar, Saturday on NBA TV, Celtics and the Hawks from Atlanta, 7 Eastern. And then next Thursday on TNT, the doubleheader, as the Pistons and the Pacers from Conseco, 7 Eastern, followed by the Spurs at home against Sacramento. The midway point of the NBA season in terms of record. This is the 42nd game of the season for the Spurs, and the 41st for Phoenix.
Spurs on a 3-game road trip tonight here in Phoenix. Then Sunday at Sacramento, huge game. Sacramento playing very well. And then up at Portland on Monday night, the Blazers thinking it up right now.
Richardson stripped down low by Ginobili. And off of the leg of Richardson. That's part of the great defense of Ginobili. He's going to be an all-NBA defender one of these years.
Well, how many All-Stars do we have in this game right now? I mean, I think Ginobili makes the All-Star team. Nash, Stoudemire, Sean Marion.
Ginobili kicks it out. Bowen can't hit that time. And a loose ball foul called against Malik Rose.
I didn't say Tim Duncan. I just assumed that you would think that Tim Duncan would make the All-Star team.
That was the correct assumption. Okay. 5:09 left. This has been a seesaw game. We've got 13 ties and 11 lead changes. And now because they're in the penalty, Sean Marion will go to the line. Brought him up a little bit earlier. In a lot of ways, he's an underrated player because everybody's talking about Nash and Stoudemire, rightfully so. This guy's numbers at his size are incredible.
Forget the size. This guy can play basketball. And that's what I give all the credit in the world to the Colangelo family. Brian, now the general manager. Jerry, his health is coming back after the prostate surgery. And also D'Antoni. These guys have a vision. I hope that the rest, there's Jerry Colangelo. 2 weeks ago, had the prostate surgery. Best wishes to you, Jerry. But I just hope that the rest of the basketball world has a chance to see the brilliance of this team. And this will hopefully become the future of the game.
Bowen way short. And Bowen off the mark. He's 0 for 6.
Nice pass.
Richardson gets inside. Blocked by Bowen. Marion right there. Sean Marion with the quick jump. And the Suns back up by 4.
Quickness, along with balance, the two most important skills in the entire NBA.
Suns 7 of 11 from the field here in the second. Rose has it knocked away. Good defense from the Suns. Johnson protecting the ball nicely. Stoudemire with the finish.
Oh, my God.
That got the crowd on its feet. The largest lead for the Suns.
That got me on my feet.
Duncan draws the foul and quickly quiets America West Arena.
The ultimate silencer, Tim Duncan, the placid stage look, but in transition, the delayed break that you mentioned earlier. Amari Stoudemire, who has a history of posterizing guys. They showed a one against Ola Wakandi so often. Tim Duncan realizing that, saying, I'll get it back on the other end. Sorry.
Stoudemire played with Duncan, as did Marion in the Olympics this summer. He talked to him about the impact that Duncan had. He said Duncan wasn't very vocal with him, but he said he watched how he approached his craft every day and how hard he practiced.
Leadership by example, isn't that the best teacher? But even Tim's teammates say that he never talks to them.
So he's been much more vocal than he was earlier in his career. Duncan with the block rejects it out of bounds. And you can see him. He's much more animated emotionally.
See, that's why I think if Duncan is going to send this ball right out of bounds, I think guys like Monty Ginobili and Brent Barry are so critical to the Spurs' success because they provide that wild craziness that you have to have.
Nash had to put that up. Shot clock was winding down, and the long rebound goes to Marion. 3.5 remaining in the second. It's a 4-point Phoenix lead. The Suns trying to snap a 5-game losing streak. Oh, what a pass! And the finish. No, and a foul as well.
Throw it all out there, Mike. Come on.
Greg Popovich is on the court. I don't know what he's arguing about.
Now, this is a basketball play here. Thread the needle. That is just perfect execution of the pick and roll. When you
no, they're waving off the basket.
Why?
Whatever Greg Popovich said has resulted in the change.
Now, that's power.
I think they're saying the foul before the shot. Popovich immediately went to it, and Jimmy Capers went over to Jim Clark and discussed it. But look at that again. Mike D'Antoni obviously disagrees.
Who they call the foul on? Where's the grab? They call the grab up high?
No, yeah, he pushed him before the dunk. Ginobili pushed him before the dunk. And he missed the second foul shot.
I call that continuation. Let it go.
Well, he wasn't. He really didn't have the ball when Ginobili pushed him. It appeared to be the right call. Duncan. And there's a goaltend on Sean Marion.
But that fired up this crowd here. And that's a good thing for the Phoenix Suns. Because, yes, they have the three-point lead, but San Antonio is right there. They're the most precise team in the entire league. Sean Marion coming from the weak side. You just wait too long. It's a game of angles.
Nash. Stoudemire blocked by Duncan. And last touch by Duncan, so it's Phoenix ball.
Nash's stretch right now is much more productive than it was in the early going.
They have the two best records in the NBA.
2 points, 1 assist, and 3 turnovers. The last time these two teams played, Tony Parker had a season high 29 points.
And that's a three from Johnson. Stoudemire gets the long rebound.
Stoudemire starting to roll here. I'd get some opportunities for him at the basket area.
Nash kicks it out. Good defense for Parker. Nash finding Stoudemire. Amari Stoudemire now with 20 points. He better get Steve Nash a big hug and say welcome back. What a difference Stoudemire is when Nash is on the floor.
But what we've seen in terms of the growth of Amari Stoudemire, not only as a player, but as a human being as well. Mature now, moving through his NBA career, and it's figured that this guy is a real star himself.
Oh, how about Duncan handling the ball, but can't finish. Rose keeps it alive. And you can credit half that to Malik Rose, even though Duncan gets the 2 points.
San Antonio has two guys playing well. Duncan, who's got 11 points, 9 rebounds. And Manu Ginobili, who's got 16 already.
Nash off that left foot. 7 points, 3 assists for Nash. Suns back up by 5. It's a low-scoring game for them.
Absolutely. That's what I said. The pace is San Antonio's pace.
Early, it was just the opposite. Both teams came out running. And the Spurs then able to slow it down. Parker wide open. And Parker hasn't been close on his shots tonight. And he's been shooting the ball exceptionally well lately. 6 turnovers for Phoenix. 7 turnover for San Antonio.
Nice.
Marion. Oh, pretty shot from Marion. Man, this is the largest lead of the first half.
This is what has excited the world about NBA basketball, the way this Suns squad is playing. Shades of Tom Chambers, Kevin Johnson, Charles Barkley, Danny Ainge. Up and down.
Parker finding Duncan. And an easy bucket for Duncan. Pretty feed from Tony Parker.
But the beautiful thing is, Phoenix doesn't care if that happens. They're just going to come right back and get it done on the offensive end. Another beautiful pass by Nash.
Marion, tough shot with Duncan in his face. And Duncan with his 11th rebound. Here's Ginobili, coast to coast. And one. Manu Ginobili with a chance for a three-point play. And Mike D'Antoni very upset.
He's got something to complain about. They didn't call a continuation at one end down here. And all a referee has to do is be consistent.
You know what, though? That other one wasn't a continuation. Now, let's see if this one was.
He didn't call continuation on any play. That play, he took 2 strides after that.
And I disagree. I think that's continuation. And the other one wasn't. It was on the entry pass.
And he took it, he caught it, he went to the basket and threw it down.
Meanwhile, he hits the free throw.
Suns have 11 transition points tonight, including secondary breaks.
How about Ginobili? 19 points, 6, 6, 7 from the field, and he's hit all 5 of his free throws.
Competitive greatness. At your best when your best is needed.
Parker called for the foul. And both teams in the penalties, so Nash will go to the line as Parker picks up his first.
Steve Nash, who was tentative and hesitant early on, has now really found his rhythm and confidence, finding everybody. The power slams here. Sean Marion, this is his game. That is as difficult a play as there is in all of basketball. He makes it look routine. But the way they have the opportunities, the pace that they play at, and it's all generated by Steve Nash.
And here's one of the reasons of Nash's importance. He's one of the best free throw shooters in the history of the NBA. 3rd all time in terms of career free throw percentage. 89% for his career. Four-point Phoenix lead. Shot clock is turned off in what has been, as expected, a very entertaining first half. They're actually canning defense here at the West Arena. What's wrong with them? Ginobili slicing in the lane. Oh. Devin Brown for 3.
Oh, what basketball.
Nash, that will not count. Did not get it off. Oh, he almost put it in. Suns to 39% shooting from the field, as you see the bench. But they're shooting 48% tonight. You know, there was a game, a couple of games ago, where the Suns bench didn't score a point. They played a combined 31 minutes, took 2 shots, didn't score a single point. That does not happen very often. Ginobili, a big point production in the first half. Loving this style, but turns it over that time.
Back to the first game between these two teams. Steve Nash had all his points in the first quarter of that game because the Spurs came out with a defensive focus on Amari Stoudemire. Then they realized, as everyone else around the world has, that Steve Nash is the catalyst of this squad. They shut him down. Tony Parker went wild, and they blew out the Suns in the second half.
Parker on Nash, trying to defend him, does a good job. Nash falls down. Parker's gotten a lot better defensively. That's a tough shot with a lot of contact.
The thing about Steve Nash, when he was a kid, he suffered an injury to his left ankle. And now he prefers to go to his left so that he can jump off his right ankle. Devin Brown for the Spurs knows that. Tony Parker slow to make that adjustment. Coming to his left all the time as a right-handed player, a Bob McAdoo, a World B. Free used to do, Walter Davis so much.
That was good defense from Parker. He just kept in his own space, and even though there was contact, it was mostly initiated by Nash.
Good defense will always get scorched by great offense.
Quentin Richardson always gets scorched.
Offense has such an advantage.
Ginobili with the left hand. Rose mistimed his jump. And Ginobili nearly poked it away. Nash played 20 of the 24 minutes in the first half, so the back obviously feeling pretty well. He told Jim Gray feels good. Stoudemire. Tipped out of bounds by Richardson. San Antonio ball.
The Suns have more players playing well than San Antonio does, and that usually bodes well for the home team. Now, granted, they're getting nothing off the bench. You pointed out they've yet to score there. But you got Marion playing well, Joe Johnson, Nash, Stoudemire. Spurs have two players playing well, and they're short Robert Horry, who's out with a bad knee tonight.
Ginobili and Duncan, and against Parker, the one that's struggling tonight. Rose getting the start in the second half with no Stoudemire. Parker. Well, he hasn't even been close on a lot of his shots tonight. He's manning the rebound. And as we said earlier, Bill, he's been shooting the ball very well recently.
When we saw him at the hotel last night, he was just all bubbly, happy, and looking great. Talked to him in the locker room before the game. He was on it. Just can't figure this one out. Nice pass.
Ginobili. Inside. Stoudemire.
Oh, my God.
22 for the 22-year-old.
I think he's got a future in this game.
Parker. Ginobili's been hot. Not that time. And Joe Johnson with another rebound. Johnson has 5 boards. Filling up the stat sheet once again. Sean Marion hits a 3.
Popovich says timeout. We got to stop this now. Electric explosion here in America West.
And the largest lead of the game for the
player besides Tony Massenberg and Chucky Brown. He will add experience right now and talent today. But when you're traded that many times and you're as talented as Jim Jackson is, there's got to be something there.
3-second violation call. So Phoenix will get it back. Turnovers right now 9 for San Antonio and just 6 for Phoenix. Pretty good number against the San Antonio Spurs defense.
Nice defensive rotation by the Spurs.
Marion blocked by Duncan.
Duncan is so smart. He just comes out and forces Marion to jump an inch further out than he wants to. Bodies flying everywhere.
A lot of contact. The Suns wanted a charge on Duncan. Nash quickly down the other way. Can't get it to fall, and Malik Rose with the rebound.
That shot after a made basket was taken with 4 seconds gone on the shot clock.
Bowen wide open. Boy, Bowen has not been close tonight. He's 0 for 7.
This is like bowling for dollars out there.
Stoudemire. And Johnson. Joe Johnson. Count the basket and a foul against Manu Ginobili. So Richardson will get a free throw as Ginobili picks up the personal. That should be his second.
And this is why you keep going to the offensive glass all the time. Ginobili on the left right there. You're going to see him get his elbows up there. And while some would say that's a clothesline, Manu Ginobili does not bring any of that element to the game. And this is just a play of 2 guys going for the ball. Ginobili does the right thing in getting his arms up, but Quentin Richardson was just slashing too hard to the hoop.
8-point lead for Phoenix. They're just about 3.5 gone by here in this third quarter. Suns trying to stop their 5-game losing streak. Of course, it coincided with the injury to Steve Nash. But Nash is playing and playing well, as is Ginobili. And Manu Ginobili now with 21.
Obviously, the strategy for D'Antoni is to smother Duncan as much as possible. make the other guys beat you. And right now, Parker and Bowen are not doing it. Ginobili certainly is.
Bowen took a shot in the nose. Marion gets inside and throws it away. No deflection. Starting to get very physical out there for a fast-paced game.
Tim Duncan, like Hakeem Olajuwon, an emerging passing force in the NBA. The guys who have to keep moving, though, because when Duncan steps away from the basket like that, it really cuts down any angle he'll possibly have.
Duncan, his third assist. He was not a very good passer out of a double team when he first came into the league. It's a part of his game that he's really worked on and developed beautifully.
You know why that is? Because he didn't play basketball as a kid. He didn't play basketball when he was little. To where you learn how to play with the ball in your hand, you learn how to pass all the time. Tim, of course, like Hakeem Olajuwon, came to the game late.
Meanwhile, he draws that foul. Sean Marion picks up his third. And for Phoenix, it's their first team foul.
On Marion's penetrations, he's leaving the ground too far away from the basket. He has to keep it one more stride.
Duncan just kind of lost it on the pass, slipped out of his hands a little bit, and a turnover. Ball poked away from Duncan on the defensive end. Brent Barry back in the game. Massenberg the pass in. Lefty shot from Tim Duncan. Duncan's got 15 points, 12 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 block shots. Make that 3 block shots.
And he's not playing that well. That's how good he is. But his numbers have not been there the last 3 games. Under 40%, only 13.5 points. Look at little Stevie there.
Yeah, he's playing well tonight, Duncan. Stolen by Barry. Back-to-back turnovers, and Ginobili ahead of the pack.
Brent Barry, what a pickup.
The defense leading the offense for the San Antonio Spurs as they go on a 6-0 run.
Yeah. Who else can we get Jim Gray to interview here?
Well, Mr. D'Antoni looks in terrific shape.
Oh, 91? Goodness gracious.
Meanwhile, 2-point lead for the Suns after they went up by 8. Spurs came right back. And Joe Johnson can't connect. Duncan with another rebound, his 13th. If you're just tuning in, this game has been pretty close throughout. Many lead changes, many ties. Also had some injuries blocked by Stoudemire, but a goaltend off the glass. And credit 2 points to Duncan. Spurs playing without Rashan Esterovic. Injured his ankle in the first half and will not return. The X-rays were negative.
But San Antonio's discipline on both ends of the court is forcing Phoenix, for good measure, to play in the half-court game, where their lack of size can be exposed by the brilliance of Tim Duncan.
Marion spotting up for 3. Sean Marion from downtown. They're now 6 of 13 from three-point range.
And that is the real way to come back and attack. With Marion, who's given up a lot on the defensive end, can get it back from three-point land. Massenberg wide open.
And Tony Massenberg.
Look at Sean Marion.
Right away, off the make, they come right back down. Mike D'Antoni, meanwhile, screaming. He thought there should have been a foul.
Well, he was pushed on the head.
Lead for Phoenix is 3. Marion with 19 points and 11 rebounds.
They're backing off Brent Barry. I'm surprised he doesn't pull the trigger on that 3.
And they're running away from Tony Massenberg, wanting him to shoot. And Barry can't get it.
Well, Brent is coming off one of his best games. Earlier this week, he had 5 for 5 3-pointers for a season-high 17 points.
Marion. Tough shot. Oh, Sean Marion coming alive here in this third quarter. And Bo Outlaw enjoying the play of Marion.
And how do you guard shots like that? The guy's so quick, so athletic, so explosive. And he's making impossible shots seem routine.
Parker. Ball tipped out. Here's Joe Johnson. Oh, and threw it too high. You know, you talk about how do you guard. How does a 4 guard Marion? 3s have trouble. Small forwards have trouble guarding Sean Marion. Now he's playing the power forward position.
And he's doing exactly the right thing, which is make them play your game. That's the ultimate test of a champion, is that you determine the terms of the conflict.
Marion really coming on after the slow start. Greg Popovich upset about something.
Slapping the scorer's table over there.
Shot clock at 7. Duncan. Duncan got away with a push. And it's Phoenix ball. Popovich, irate. I think he's mad at Tony Parker.
I think he's mad at Tony Massenberg. I think he's mad at the entire team. And they're standing around and waiting for Tim Duncan to bail him out.
Let's just say he's mad. Pass inside. And they say deflected. Nash said it was deflected.
They're going to talk this one over.
Derek Richardson's going to come in and help and change the call. That's good teamwork from the officials.
And that's where it pays to argue when you know you're right. One of the things that's really impressive about this Sun team this year, they haven't spent a lot of time arguing with the refs. Nice pass.
And Marion again. Sean Marion with 9 points here in this third quarter.
How about Quentin Richardson, dog? Just this guy just having the time of his life. He's taken 343s already this year.
Ginobili sneaks inside. Oh, tough shot. He just fits in so well with this style against Phoenix.
And he is going against a very, very good defensive player in Joe Johnson. Nice pass, Steve Nash.
Marion for three. Sean Marion lighting it up here in the third quarter.
When your power forward is stroking threes and running the floor, all rules are off.
And many getting on their feet. He's got the last 12 points for the Suns. A standing ovation right now. Parker was open but did not shoot. Ginobili comes away with it. 3 on the shot clock. Here come the Suns. Marion again. Sean Marion exploding in the largest lead of the game for the Phoenix Suns. Stoudemire nearly takes it away. Parker. That's a 3. And everything going the Suns' way.
It seems as if there's 7 of them on the court.
Richardson puts it in. Timeout, San Antonio.
The agent market to acquire this backcourt of Steve Nash and Quentin Richardson.
The Suns are 11 of 17 from the field in the third quarter against the best defensive team in the NBA. Massenberg. Malik Rose, and he's fouled. Stephen Hunter will pick up the personal. That's his 4th as we check in with Jim Gray.
All right, Mike, you and Bill were talking about it. What started to get Greg Popovich upset is when they changed the nets. When the net got broken at about the 8-minute mark, the net now where the Spurs are shooting is different. It looks much different, and it doesn't set up the same way as the other net on the other end. He's been complaining to the officials about it ever since. The officials now will change the net so that it looks the same at both ends at the end of the quarter, but that's what started the ball rolling for Greg Popovich to be upset.
Malik Rose knocks down that shot. Does that make any difference, Bill?
They're only shooting at one end. And they've been shooting there for a while. It was their guy that broke the net.
Stoudemire gets inside, draws the foul, and 1.
But to show you how dire the straits are for Greg Popovich right now, he's got Tim Duncan sitting on the bench. Now, normally this is his rest time, but they're up against it right now, and Phoenix has found their rhythm. Coincidentally, when Steve Nash came back to the lineup.
Stoudemire had a huge first half. He had 20 points at halftime. Now has 25. Suns just on a roll. They've made their last 8 shots from the field, and this is their largest lead of the game.
How important is confidence?
Malik Rose from outside.
And who would have ever thought that it would be little Stevie Nash that would give everybody the confidence?
See the matchup. The 2 men up front. Massenberg now on Stoudemire.
Stoudemire's numbers against Shaq 10 days ago.
Quentin Richardson hits a 3. Not the 2-pointer. But that increases the lead to 15.
Spurs are in total trouble right now.
Kevin Brown falls, but able to hold on.
Something's going to have to turn quickly for San Antonio because nothing seems to be slowing down this squad.
Stoudemire with the block. Shot clock not reset, and Rose not even close. And it's going to be Suns ball with 39.5 remaining in the period.
Play 2 for 1 right now as Steve Nash getting a well-deserved rest. Nash has completely outplayed Tony Parker. The turnaround, Parker 29 points, the first game between these two squads. Sean Marion had only 6 in that game as Phoenix had 2 players in double figures. Stoudemire with 37, Nash with 12.
Nice strip from Parker, then the foul on Stoudemire. So Stoudemire picking up his first, and they're in the penalty.
That's what always amazes me. These players like Amari Stoudemire, Charles Barkley, Bird, Magic, they play the whole game late in the third. Oh, that's his first foul. He's involved in every single fray out there. That's only 1 foul on him.
So Massenberg will go to the line. Only an 11th and 12th free throw attempt by the Spurs. Remind me, you want to see Tim Duncan and Amari Stoudemire in the 2005 All-Star game? You only have until Sunday to vote. Go to the All-Star ballot on NBA.com and vote now. That man, no doubt, will be on the All-Star court in Denver. Steve Nash, he has been absolutely brilliant this season,
but he won't be there as a starter. But the coaches are going to have to vote him on. Because Tracy McGrady and Kobe Bryant are going to be there as the starter.
Who would be, if you could pick, who are your starting backcourt in the West?
You have to pick Steve Nash. And how about Ray Allen?
There you go with Nash now. That's not bad. Uber comes in the game. Parker will sit with Tony Parker 1 of 9 from the field. And Parker also with 4 turnovers. And Massenberg misses both free throws. It was a 1-point game at halftime. And then Sean Marion just lit up the place. Nash. Final seconds of what's been a dominant third quarter for Phoenix. Woodruff kicks it out. Barry for 3. Won't go. And that ends the third. Suns hit their final 10 shots from the... And they'll keep the Nets the same.
He realized that it was a specious argument that wasn't going anywhere, and all of a sudden you find yourself getting trounced by an absolutely dazzling team, and you get doubled up in the third quarter like that.
Tie game after 1-point game at halftime. And then Sean Marion and the Suns erupting in that third period. Push Parker in the game. He's the backup right now to Nash. And Devin Brown, good rebound off Johnson's miss.
I really enjoyed the matchup between Ginobili and Joe Johnson today. Even though Johnson's not having a big game, he's done a lot of good things for his squad.
He's having one of those well-rounded games that he always seems to have. Brown is wide open, flat shot. And Marion, his 14th rebound of the game. And he outscored the Spurs himself in that third period. You know, it's a big part. Statistician Jimmy Stamos pointing it out, Phil. The rebounding. Suns +7 in the rebounding against the Spurs.
Well, they play a pace that will enable them, as an undersized squad, to get volume rebounds.
And they get a lot of long rebounds off missed threes. Ginobili hits a 3. Ginobili's had a terrific game. He's got 28 points. And it's a 14-point game.
But who else is doing anything besides Tim Duncan? How many points did Parker have?
Parker has really struggled. 1 of 9 from the field with 4 turnovers.
How many points did Bruce Bowen have?
Bowen 0 for 7, giving it to the San Antonio Spurs tonight on the floor.
So quiet in demeanor. Never a person or player that draws attention to himself like Tim Duncan, like Kevin Garnett, other than with his game.
And a foul on Bosco.
This is where the Spurs have to make their move. You got Amari Stoudemire catching a breath on the bench right now. Jake Bosco, the pressure on him. Bosco's a nice player. Do a good job, but this guy, Amari Stoudemire, this is a franchise-level player.
Bosco still coming back from earlier season with appendectomy. Woodrick not even close. And Ginobili able to garner the rebound. Barry steps back. And Barry knocks down the 2 and very quickly 5 quick points now for the Spurs. So just like that, it's a 12-point game. And a foul on Ginobili defending Bosco in the low post. first team foul and Ginobili's third.
Steve Nash has to keep pushing the pace here. Don't get comfortable. Don't get overconfident thinking that San Antonio is going to stop. The two best teams in the league at the post games at the end, San Antonio and the Miami Heat.
Nash's pass off the foot. Woodrick outrunning everyone. Nice play from Bana Woodrick.
Woodrick does a nice job right there of denying Steve Nash so he can't get it up the court with the head of steam.
And 7 quick points to start the fourth quarter. And they're certainly right back in. Bosco inside. Oh, nice move from Jake Bosco.
Again, going left every time. Steve Nash. So very creative. Good hands by Bosco.
Nash now with 9 assists. Devin Brown left open, knocks down the shot.
It was Devin Brown's shot at the end of the half that really gave the Spurs some life there.
John Marion is the trailer. There's not even hit iron. Duncan, good outlet pass. Woodrick goes right at Marion. Brown keeps it alive, but it won't hit the baseline.
The second unit for the Spurs making it happen right now. Udrih, Barry, they're running. Devin Brown, they have the freshness to their game that we did not see tonight from Tony Parker and Bruce Bowen.
Nash walks it up for the first time tonight. Bosco inside, and he's pushed by Duncan, so Bosco will shoot a couple.
Steve Nash is playing so well that Jake Bosco can spin the wrong way on that screen and still execute the play. When you set the screen, you're supposed to open up to the ball. When you turn that way, you lose all sight of the ball. But it was still so wide open as we saw at the San Antonio Spurs practice today. Their goal, their strategy was to double team Steve Nash when he came off that high screen and roll.
That's good as Jim Gray.
Mike, when we spoke to Mike D'Antoni before the game, told us we're 31-9, almost with the best record in the NBA. Now we've lost 5 games in a row. It's like a house fell on us. Before, if anybody would have said that, we'd have been jumping for joy. He said, we have no identity without Steve Nash. As for a plan B, we have no plan B. We're going to get our butts kicked without Steve Nash unless we got $66 million more to try and find somebody else like him.
They have found out the hard way just how good Nash is. Nice defensive play from Sean Marion. Marion doing it all tonight. Always amongst the leaders in the NBA in steals and rebounds. Leads the team in rebounds, steals, and minutes. Nash working nice with Bosco. Richardson inside. He's a good finisher.
A power player. And that's forcing Greg and Popovich to take yet another timeout. But that 5-game losing streak, that's...
No, this is great. You can see now we got Steve back. The sun is back, and we are playing our game. And this is our basketball. And as you can see, it's exciting to watch, and we're kicking it right now.
Robert, you live in San Diego. You and your partner, Dick Heckman of the K2 Corporation, travel to every game. Can you keep up this pace, and are you going to be able to keep your voice and this type of enthusiasm?
I better. I'm only 43, so I got to have enough energy. And we're glad we took this net off because this net was kind of working too good. So this one came off. We got a new one on.
You believe that you can build a championship team. It eluded this club for the entire time since they've been in existence. Tomorrow is the anniversary, 1968, when it came into the league. Can this be a championship city?
I think we got a chance this year. I'm not going to say I built it because these guys put it in place this year. We made a little trade today, and, you know, at this stage, Jerry's not buying green bananas. So this is a year, baby.
Robert, good to talk to you. Congratulations on your success so far.
Thank you.
All right, back to you, Mike.
Jim, thank you. Robert Sarver earlier this season, along with the Gorilla, tried to dunk off a trampoline. Got it on the 3rd time, but he really hurt his wrist. And I think his neck as well.
He bruised his shoulder, pulled both groin muscles. He's coming out again this Sunday against New Jersey with the dance squad. They're going to have a hip-hop performance here with Robert Sarver, the youngest owner in the entire NBA.
Meanwhile, the Spurs again has cut it to 10. That's a 3. Ginobili from downtown, and it's a 7-point game. Quickly, Stoudemire down the other end, and a hard foul, but a smart one by San Antonio.
Look at the shot clock, Mike. 21 seconds to go.
And again, that's off of Mate.
This is a dagger 3 that gets San Antonio right back into it as the Spurs have outscored the Suns by 10 here in the 4th. But through the net, one pass over the top, and there's 21 seconds left.
That last foul on Barry was his third. Ginobili, I think, has a cut, so he's going to have to go get that attended to. Ginobili, 31 points. And for Manu Ginobili, a season high. We saw him have a 29-point game earlier this season.
Interesting about Robert Sarver, though. It was just 5 years ago that Mark Cuban joined the league. And everybody criticized him for the owners being overly enthusiastic. But that's all changed now. The new ownership grew up in Boston, Seattle, here in Phoenix now, Dallas. The times are changing.
Duncan. Nice feed inside. Oh, Woodrick almost put it in.
I love the way Duncan goes over and picks him up.
That's part of the leadership. The foul goes against Sean Marion, who has 4.
Look at Duncan's eyes. He's, again, passing before the diminutive Steve Nash can get in there and have any sort of effect whatsoever. And Duncan says, hey, come on. My guy should be knocking into the ground.
Woodrick knocks it in. Woodrick, 22 years old. The rookie from Slovenia was their first-round pick this past year, 28th overall. Played in Slovenia and Russia, and Italy, and Israel as a pro. And has really made the transformation very well.
This is the time of year when a lot of the rookies hit the so-called rookie wall. Yeah. At the halfway mark, they asked Woodrick about that. He said, look, I played in a year where I had 93 games one time.
Oh, Ginobili off another turnover. Nash turned it over, and it's a 4-point game. The Spurs have come out on fire here to begin the fourth quarter. A 19-6 run to start the period. Look at Brown on Nash.
Doubt and indecision on behalf of the Phoenix Suns.
Nash, not a good shot that time. Duncan's presence altered it.
Devin Brown done a real nice job out there for Greg Popovich.
What a turnaround. At halftime, it was a 1-point game. Suns dominated the third. It's the Spurs dominating the fourth right now. Duncan, stripped.
Get out in transition if you're the Suns.
Nash finding Joe Johnson for 3. Big bucket from Joe Johnson. He's got 16.
All comes from the defense. Finally, Amari Stoudemire didn't want to play center at the start of the season. Now he's going to make the All-Star team.
Meanwhile, Nash with his 10th assist of the night. 7 on the shot clock. And Duncan foul by Stoudemire. That's the 4th team foul against the Suns. And Stoudemire picks up his second.
Transition basketball. Ignited by your defense. Stoudemire able to stand in there and go toe-to-toe with Tim Duncan. And then the quick pass across the court by Steve Nash. Joe Johnson, who has not made that shot consistently tonight, although he's more than capable of doing it, makes a very timely three-pointer.
Woodrick getting the fourth quarter minutes. Parker struggled tonight. Brown just lost the ball.
Nice.
Marion on the finish. Steve Nash once again electrifying the crowd on the fast break.
He fooled the defense so badly that time. The defense ran to the wrong guy.
Duncan on the offensive rebound. Ginobili fakes the 3. Manu Ginobili inside, blocked by Stoudemire. Amari Stoudemire with his second block of the game.
Remember the story. As the ball just rejected and sent back. Over time, Amari Stoudemire will learn to keep that ball in play and ignite yet another fast break. 7 blocks for the Spurs on the night.
Ginobili trying to find some room. Woodrick, that's a 3. Air ball.
Transition buckets. The Suns +9 on the night.
Nash to Stoudemire, but he couldn't handle a pass.
That's almost the play that Steve has to shoot the ball. But he's so unselfish.
So efficient, 5 of 10 from the field. 13 points, 11 assists.
And he was questionable before the game.
Ginobili kicks it out. Barry hesitated, had the open look. Ginobili for 3. after Manu Ginobili with a career-high 36 points. He's 13 of 18 from the field. And he's playing out there with Ulrich. Nash falling away. Here comes Brown. Oh, beautiful pass, and Barry finishes it, and back to a 4-point game.
They need a timeout quickly.
They look a little tired right now.
Steve Nash hasn't played in a couple. Not a coaching problem. It's not as if something else is going to come in there and they're all going to turn it around and surge toward the championship this year. This will be a stain and stigma on all of those players for the rest of their lives.
Nash gets inside. Stoudemire. Talk about drawing in the defense. 28 for Stoudemire, 12 assists for Nash.
How did he get that ball through? Remember what D'Antoni said this morning? That when Steve Nash plays an average game, he had 15 assists.
Ginobili with 7 on the shot clock. Joe Johnson defending it beautifully. And Ginobili still puts it in. Tough shot.
Do you force him to his right, which he doesn't want to go? Do you force him into a fadeaway after coming to a dead stop, and he still knocks it down? Career high 38 for Manu Ginobili.
He's 14 of 19 from the field, and he's got 13 points in the period.
Yeah, Ulrich is playing some good defense on Steve Nash.
Stoudemire, and he draws the foul on Duncan. Duncan picks up his third. Stoudemire to the line.
Steve Nash running that high screen and roll just hangs in the air, and we are seeing an emerging phenomenon here in Amari Stoudemire, as well as Manu Ginobili. His ability to hit incredible shots like that.
But the Suns have hurt themselves at the free throw line. They've missed 8 free throws tonight. And you mentioned Ulrich. Tony Parker not playing well tonight. So Parker has been on the bench for a long stretch going with the rookie Ulrich.
He's playing 3 of his bench guys down the stretch here in the fourth quarter. They're the guys who got it going for him, and Duncan was taking his rest in between the third and fourth changeover. Ulrich, Barry, and Devin Brown.
5-point game. Ginobili draws the foul. And Manu Ginobili will go back to the line. The best scoring game of his NBA career. He's also with 5 assists and 4 rebounds.
If Phoenix doesn't win this game, this is going to be very tough for them to swallow.
Mike D'Antoni wasn't sure how many minutes he was going to play Nash. He said, we'll see how he feels, see how he plays. He's playing great, and he feels pretty good. Ginobili makes it a 3-point game. 40 points for Manu Ginobili.
Steve Nash has played great in spurts tonight. Is he in great enough?
And there's a foul on Duncan. Duncan upset as he picks up his 4th. Popovich upset, but Stoudemire's going to shoot 2.
And do 5 push-ups and flex to the crowd. You got to be kidding me. This guy's good. This guy is going to change basketball. We have seen him in 10 days.
Well, see, now there looks like a lot of contact there. That's when you're 22 years old and you can do that. But he misses a free throw. Here's a guy who's played 37 minutes banging with the best player in the world in Tim Duncan. He's doing push-ups.
Does he appear tired to you, Mike?
You're not allowed to be tired at 22.
Well, you're supposed to be tired at the end of the game.
Bo Outlaw couldn't look at the free throws. And the free throws really hurting him. They've missed 10 now.
When Bo Outlaw can't look at the free throws, you know it's serious.
Ginobili again gets inside right-handed. And a foul. And it's going to stay down at this end. It will go against Phoenix. And free throws again coming up for the San Antonio Spurs.
Half-court basketball favoring Greg Popovich and the San Antonio Spurs.
Nash picks up his 2nd.
But in the last 10 days, Amari Stoudemire has taken it to Shaquille O'Neal, and tonight he's taken it to Tim Duncan. And he's 22 years old.
Duncan, 2 of 4 tonight from the free throw line. Saturday, ESPN, a full day of college basketball. At noon Eastern, Kansas against Villanova. And then at 9 Eastern on ESPN2, Pitt against UConn. Pitt UConn also available high definition on ESPN HD. And how about this? It's a one-point game. Spurs 7 of 7 from the free throw line in the fourth quarter, whereas the Suns have missed free throws.
And the Spurs are forcing the Suns to walk the ball up.
Great closeout defense. Duncan. Dangerous pass. 4 on the shot clock. Stoudemire to Marion. Stoudemire should have shot it. But either way, they get a foul, and now it's the Suns back to the line, where they're 3 of 8 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I'd rather have Sean Marion going to the line, though, at this point than Amari Stoudemire. Up against it, the shot clock running down. Amari Stoudemire almost has to shoot. How long in the lane?
You know, he couldn't shoot it. Duncan came over to help out, and Marion was in the right place.
That's how Duncan guarded everybody who had the ball in that entire 24-second possession.
Marion, a very good free throw shooter. 31 for the game. He had that 17-point third quarter. Now it's Manu Ginobili's turn with a 13-point fourth quarter. And Marion hits a bunch. Excuse me, Ginobili has 15 here in the fourth.
Stoudemire has got to come to the fore here and shut down Tim Duncan. If they can play Duncan without double teaming, they'll really help their chances.
Barry passed up the three. Brown will try it. Won't go. Ginobili keeps it alive. Brown knocks it loose, but Nash comes out of the pack. Both teams extending themselves here in the fourth quarter.
Steve Nash looked over at referee Jim Baker. He said, what is a foul? I got knocked to the ground there. Now this is where they get in a little bit of trouble, the Suns. What kind of set offense go-to guy do they have?
Stoudemire on Brown. Good no call, and Stoudemire puts the Suns back up by 5. Timeout, San Antonio. And another stand. The fans have been on their feet much of the second half in this sellout crowd in America West.
Attendance up 7% from last year when they've only won 29 games.
The Suns trying to snap a 5-game losing streak and trying to regain the best record in the NBA. And Ginobili fouled again. Johnson bumped him, and he'll go back to the free throw line, where tonight he's 7 for 7.
When you watch Manu Ginobili and Steve Nash play, the way they float over the court, the change of pace, change of direction, the stutter step that they always use to create the scoring opportunities. Brilliant.
Ginobili has been brilliant tonight. 5 assists, 4 rebounds in his career high, 41. Couple of terrific foreign point guards. Ginobili, a 2-guard. Nash, of course, from Canada. Ginobili from Argentina. And you see the free throw shooting. It's been huge for San Antonio here in the fourth quarter. Nash finding Stoudemire. Stripped by Ginobili. Nearly taken back by Richardson.
Patience if you're the Spurs right here. Duncan and Ginobili are your guys. Have them play 2-man basketball. Duncan's calling for it.
Barry looking for Duncan. Stoudemire fronting, but Marion right there behind.
Late defensive rotation, Marion.
Devin Brown kicks it out. Woodrick for 3. Rebound, Richardson. Throws it ahead to Marion. Oh, what a pass. Oh, and Marion misses the layup.
Ginobili did his job defensively. Forced the double clutch.
Ginobili kicks it out. Barry for 3. Bang! And the game is tied with 53 seconds remaining.
Shot clock clearly in favor of the home team.
What a comeback from the Spurs. Down 17 here in the fourth quarter. Nash tied up. Shot clock down to 7. Joe Johnson inside. Stoudemire with 2 on the shot clock. 33 for Amari Stoudemire.
They're going without the timeout here.
There's about a 5-second difference between the shot and game clock. Barry, another 3. Puts it in! And the Spurs with their first lead of the second half.
No timeout for Phoenix.
Well, they still have 1 remaining. Nash comes up short. Rebound Duncan. Then they have to foul him. They still had a 20-second timeout. Well, the Suns had a full timeout. And Brent Barry with huge three-pointers here in the fourth quarter.
This has been an unbelievable turn of events here. Phoenix seemingly in complete control, but Barry, Manu Ginobili, the defense of Tim Duncan.
And now, big free throws from Duncan. Even if he hits both, this game is not over. Maybe their best comeback of the season. And Duncan, 23 points, 18 rebounds.
Phoenix is the team that's noted for their comebacks from double-digit deficits. Tonight it was the Spurs.
How about the Spurs? 39 points now here in this fourth quarter on the road. Again, the Suns still have a timeout so they can call it and advance the ball. And Duncan, 2 clutch free throws. They will not call timeout. Marion has to put up the 3. Puts it in at the buzzer. He ties the game. Now they got to review it to make sure he got it off in time and to see if it was a 2 or a 3. It was very close to the line.
The rules are you can review where the feet are.
2 key components. Did he get it off in time, which appeared he did, and was it a 3? That was close.
Steve Nash up in transition, eschewing the timeout. Sean Marion had the game of his life. Both feet definitely behind the line.
And clearly got it off in time.
We're going to overtime. Both games tonight. Indiana, Miami, and now San Antonio and Phoenix.
It was close, but an easy call for the officials. They just give the official signal, count it, put 5 minutes on the clock. The San Antonio Spurs fight from 17 down in the fourth quarter to take the lead, but Sean Marion at the buzzer. And Marion with 35 points. Overtime with the 2 best records in the NBA.
What could be better?
First overtime game of the season for the Spurs, who were down 17 to start the fourth quarter. Meanwhile, Phoenix, all 5 starters have played 40-plus minutes. Joe Johnson, 47. Marion, 46. Richardson, 45. Nash, 41. And Stoudemire, 40.
Phoenix has a total of 3 points off the bench.
Oh, Stoudemire right at Duncan. He's got 35. Suns so happy to have Steve Nash back, who has 12 assists. Want to snap that 5-game losing streak. Barry.
Shot clock a factor here.
Barry again for 3. Oh, Brent Barry with 16 points off the bench, his 4th three-pointer.
Talk about a bailout shot.
Richardson inside, left-handed, won't go. And Ginobili comes away.
Wild foray by Q that time. You got Stoudemire playing brilliantly, going right at Tim Duncan. Milk him.
Duncan. And Duncan. Ooh. Strong to the goal. 3-point lead for the Spurs. You know, one of the reasons that Mike D'Antoni's played his starters so much, number one, he loves to play them. All that, it's his best team. But also, they only have 9 guys because of the Jimmy Jackson acquisition today. They only dress 9 players.
And the injury to Barbosa.
Stoudemire falls. And it's still Phoenix ball with 13 on the shot clock. How about Bano Udrich getting some big minutes? Tony Parker's been on the bench.
Phoenix looks discombobulated. Not particularly a good and effective half-court team. They're now seeing why San Antonio and Miami are so devastating down the stretch of games.
Udrich comes up with a loose ball. Barry. Oh, great defense by Quentin Richardson. Well, didn't exactly expect that. Not a smart pass from Barry that time. Marion kicks it out. Joe Johnson, tough shot, and he's fouled. And Ginobili picks up his 4th. Tony Parker has not played, by the way, since the 3rd quarter. But Brent Barry has, as is Udrich.
Brent Berry doesn't know what to do here. He doesn't know what to do. They're playing so far up. He just says, hey, I'm just going to jack up a 3 here. The guy's so hot.
Barry 4 of 6 from downtown. Will Johnson, again, one of those big all-around games.
We talked about the slow stretch that Brent Berry had. 6 weeks ago, there was a time when he missed 17 straight three-point shot attempts.
Well, Greg Popovich said early in the season he was trying maybe to impress his new teammates too much. Now he's settled down and starting to hit big shots. And a 3-second violation. Defensive 3 seconds called against, I believe, against Sean Marion. So a technical foul and 1 shot.
Check the way that Beno Udrih is feeding the post. This guy's got skill. He's got a game. So often, you're playing with a guy like Tim Duncan, they can't even get him the ball. This guy just a rookie. Udrih just able to just lay it in there perfectly.
Meanwhile, Ginobili has 43 points now. He's perfect from the line, 10 for 10.
Udrih 9 points, 4 assists on the night.
Oh, Ginobili! 45 for Ginobili. And this for San Antonio, their largest lead of the game.
Phoenix looks stunned. They should have been the ones that had the confidence and the optimism after Marion's desperation shot to close regulation. But Ginobili down the lane here. The crossover and then the throw. Now that's 3 guys he just torches right there. Joe Johnson is outstanding. Sean Marion, Amari Stoudemire.
Joe Johnson, as you mentioned earlier, a very good defender. But Ginobili beating anyone off the dribble tonight. Anyone and everyone. 14 on the shot clock. Suns will inbound. In overtimes, you get 3 timeouts. Each team gets 3. You shoot the penalty on the 4th team foul in the OT, and the second, obviously, in the last 2 minutes. Nash throws it away. And Steve Nash with his 5th turnover.
D'Antoni does not like the way things are going. He's got to call a timeout quickly.
Bounce back up. He's got some real toughness.
I think the toughness has been shown by Greg Popovich. The willingness to go with his 3 key guys off the bench and keep Bowen Parker on that bench.
Duncan, tough shot.
Oh.
And the lead is up to 6. It's still plenty of time remaining, especially when you're playing the Phoenix Suns.
Yes, but Phoenix is not getting out in transition anymore.
Richardson, long 3.
And that confidence that evaporated as soon as Steve Nash's injuries started to pile up now seems to be creeping back in, that lack of it.
There's Udrih, who's played a career-high 24 minutes. Getting all the time in the 4th quarter and overtime. Beautiful pass. Duncan misses, gets his own rebound, and a foul.
Look at the bench for San Antonio.
What a great entry pass, though, Bill.
Absolutely. San Antonio is just playing exquisite basketball down the stretch here, really since the start of the 4th quarter. Duncan backing his way down, so disciplined, so determined to get what he wants.
That was the last one.
And then a terrific pass by Devin Brown. And Duncan gets a rebound, takes away the assist from Devin Brown, but most importantly now they're building on this lead.
8-point advantage. Duncan with a 30-point night with 19 rebounds. Nash to Marion. Oh, pretty pass from Nash. And it's back to a 6-point game.
One of the few times Phoenix able to score in the half court, so they've got to get a stop right now.
Udrih again. They spread the floor so nicely, Bill.
They balance it. And they can all knock down those perimeter jumpers.
5 on the shot clock. Tough shot. And Marion with another rebound is 15.
This is where the Suns are at their best. But the transition defense so solid for the Spurs.
Oh, Udrih with the steal. He read the pick and roll beautifully. And Brown wisely slows it down. Oh, a terrific play from Beno Udrih.
Suns up against it right now.
Ginobili looks up at the shot clock. Johnson trying to poke it away. Ginobili with big two-pointer. 47 for Ginobili.
You can't back off the ball like that, particularly when the ball has got how many? 47, you say? Look at the defense by Udrih.
Nash That's a three for Nash. Steve Nash bounces back. Again, a 5-point game.
The toll on Steve Nash, though, he does not look good right now. He's grimacing, limping when he runs.
45 minutes, Steve Nash on the floor in his first game after missing 3.
D'Antoni's calling for a foul.
Yeah, they needed a foul. But the shot clock would have gone all the way down. It'd be down to 19, and it's a 2-possession game. And now they need to hope for some missed free throws. So Duncan will go to the line with 27 seconds remaining. No, not. It's the first foul in the last 2 minutes, so it's not a penalty yet.
And there's some Spurs fans here chanting MVP, MVP as they thought tonight. They got a foul. What are they doing out there?
Ginobili kicks it out. Woodrick to Brown. Brown goes up. Wild shot. And he gets his own rebound.
They got a foul.
That will do it. With 13.4 remaining. Tim Duncan gathering the team. And Mike D'Antonio singing to his team blow a 17-point fourth-quarter lead. He wanted them to foul right away.
Well, this is the youngest team in the entire league. This is a team that has been struggling for 10 days. Which they torched the Miami Heat here a week ago Tuesday night. The critical thing now, though, Phoenix cannot lose their sense of direction and purpose.
Well, Mike D'Antoni is very proud of what the team is doing. And what did he tell us? I think we're here to stay. Our style and this team is going to be around for a while.
I sure hope so.
And the Suns will call timeout with 13.4 seconds remaining. And they're in
Timely precision daggers.
Johnson. Oh, Joe Johnson puts it in with 9.8 remaining. And very quickly, San Antonio calls timeout. So still timeouts remaining for the Suns. What they'll try and do is steal the inbound. If not, foul right away. And they can advance the ball with a timeout.
And they missed both free throws. Then Phoenix comes down, hits another 3. Foul again. They missed the free throw. They come down, hit it 2. And we go to double overtime here. And all the fans that have already left America West, they will miss out on one of the great games in NBA history.
Well, this game featured the teams with the best records in the NBA. Even with the 5-game losing streak, the Suns came in with the second-best record in the league. San Antonio at the top. Miami, which went into overtime with Indiana. And Miami earlier tonight at home, losing to the Pacers. Of course, Seattle and Sacramento coming on once again. What makes this game...
Sacramento's playing good ball right now. Chris Webber, Mike Bibby, Peja Stojakovic. San Antonio goes up to Sacramento on Sunday night.
There you see the Suns, first 70 days of the season, only lost 4 times. And then Steve Nash got hurt. Although Mike D'Antoni said that right before Nash got hurt, they were sliding a little bit, especially on the defensive end. But now they're on the verge of losing their 6th straight game. But they are an elite team in this league this year, the way they played, and now with Nash back. Although it's hard to lose a 17-point fourth-quarter lead, you are playing against the best team in the league in San Antonio.
6-game losing streaks are always tough. Never forget that last season, the Detroit Pistons, who went on to become the world champions, had their own 6-game losing streak.
Well, the Suns want to extend this one a little longer. Ginobili trying to get free. Nearly a 5-second count. They fouled Ginobili with 9 seconds left. And Ginobili with a chance to cap off a brilliant game, a career-high 47 points. He's got 6 assists, 5 rebounds, 16 of 22 from the field, perfect from the line.
How many players in the league, other than the best of the best, like the Duncans, the Garnetts, the Shaqs, would you not trade for Manu Ginobili? This guy, these guys, an incredible future.
I agree with you. He should be on an all-star team this year.
It's going to be tough to beat the all-star team.
Yep, there's so many good players. And San Antonio up 5. Mike D'Antoni will call keep the team's heads up despite a very disappointing loss tonight if they do indeed finish out and lose this game. Jim Clark checking. Shot clock is obviously turned off. 9 seconds remain.
If Phoenix wins this game, they're going to need a lot of help from San Antonio.
Johnson turns, fires up the three. And rebound Brown. And that will do it.
Devin Brown, solid performance.
And the San Antonio Spurs, win their third in a row, increase their NBA best record to 33-9. Manu Ginobili, a career-high 48, as they come back from 17 points down in the fourth quarter to win on the road.